gone through it. He calls the process. He was with me intensively for a month. What does he say?
He calls it hilariously simple.
Right. Why
Exactly.
does he call it hilariously simple now that you've been working with me for a period of time?
Well, I think because it is hilariously simple that I think it's twofold. I mean, I think the actual procedure is simple, but it's actually getting the patient to that place where they are willing to cooperate physically and mentally to everything you're asking them to do, which isn't very detailed, but it's just the fact of being asked to speak in a different pitch and speaking from the face where we think that we're too loud, or we think that no one's going to like the voice, and it's vocal identity, which is what you've termed in several of your books.
It's voice identity that's the issue, I believe. It's not genes.
Right.
The theories in the medical community and academia, they have a whole array, a litany of theories that has never produced a single cure
Right.
in 135 years. Today, the medical community on all its websites that I know of says there are no cures of your problem. I keep reporting cures for over 35 years, document the cures. They're maintaining that you can't get out of this condition. What am I telling you that helps you to get out of this condition in contrast to the theories like there's a basal ganglia problem?
Right.
Which
was what I was told when I was diagnosed.
By Dr.
Potentially that was, because I asked him, when they termed it a neurological problem, what exactly does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they spoke of the basal ganglia, I believe.
Okay.
But anyway.
Did they say it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, that it's a rare disease?
I think most of those things were termed, yeah, and that there was basically there was no cure for it.
Yes.
And so the comment was made that there were several other patients that they had that were voice performers who have the same condition. So, I mean, I didn't know any of these people, so I think to answer your question, the thing that's different, pardon me, is the simple fact that we have been speaking incorrectly. That it's we as a society, and I even was reading I don't know if we talked about this last week or the week before, there was an article that was published about men who have deeper voices have more children.
Mm-hmm.
And basically saying that women are more attracted to men with deeper voices, they're sexier, they have more likelihood of being married and having more children. And I think as a society, we all want to speak more deeply because we think it's more authoritative, it's more it's sexier.
You can speak
right,
deeply,
and as I'm doing
but
now,
in the face,
absolutely,
not in the lower throat.
Exactly.
Can you give me a dose of the lower throat voice when you're using it in the booth?
Right. I could say something like if I'm saying CBS Thursday, which is now, as opposed to CBS Thursday, with the other voice, which is in the lower throat, it can't possibly hold any power at all. It has no ability.
It's one of those things that will absolutely blow your mind.
You use that voice, and you have a good chance of getting spasmodic dysphonia.
Absolutely.
The culture says deep throat voices are in.
Yeah.
You went through that cycle, and we've worked on changing your voice image, not the possibility of helping you with a rare disease. They can't find a rare disease. There's no documentation.
No.
Clinically, from my awareness. They can't document the fact that it's a neurological problem. I don't find it to be so.
Right.
I can't cure a neurological problem.
No.
But I can help to cure a voice problem that is caused by talking deep throat and not in the face, where all good and great voices should be.
Right. No, I actually think that there are times where, and even in this conversation we've had since we went on the air, if there is a moment where you feel a little twinge of nerves, or I want to prove a point, I want to say something that's clarifying, I think there are times where you actually feel yourself dropping into the lower throat, and as we've talked about, you have the ability to make the quick correction
You do.
To know, yeah, I have the ability to do that.
If you are willing to give up the image that,
I know,
and the image and identity, folks, is the killer. This is the number one problem. You're concerned with what people will say because you've changed your sound. Could you talk to that issue?
Yeah, I think there was a point where I'd be in the office and we'd be talking and say, to speak in somewhat of a higher pitch to get the voice, which, as we've said, the reason for speaking in the higher pitch is to get you up and forward into the face. Mm-hmm. Not that you necessarily will stay at this higher pitch for the remainder of your life. It's a prop. And I think, my having to continue to try to work and audition and record while we're in the process of doing this, it's difficult because I kept thinking someone's going to find me out. Someone's going to say, "What the heck is he doing with his voice?"
Did anybody say anything?
Not a person. In fact, I will repeat the story that I told you last week, which was hilarious. Mm-hmm. That I was actually in a recording session, and there was a comment made by a producer that there was too much nasality in the read. But the irony was that the producer was talking about the other actor in the room, mm-hmm. that it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And the comment was first made generally saying, we have a problem with nasality. And the second I heard that, I went, oh, my God. And then she mentioned the other actor's name, mm-hmm. and I said, I can't wait to tell Mort because it wasn't me.
You think this is nasal the way you're talking? This is nasal resonance the way I'm talking?
Yeah, I think it's
all
nasal
good
resonance.
And great voices have an excessive amount of nasal resonance.
I think the difference, though, now is I think this voice has so much richness to it. Mm-hmm. I don't think of it as a nasal voice. I think of it having an amazing amount of richness, mm-hmm. which is great. Mm-hmm. And it actually, I mentioned this to someone last night that in the middle of having SD, as any SD patient knows, you're just, you can't even, you're so tired from trying to speak.
It's exhausting. It's
totally exhausting. And I had several great accounts in voiceover, which required me to be very amped and hyper in the work I was doing. And I literally would have to go and take a nap after the recording session because it took everything I had to speak.
How does it feel to talk up in the face?
It feels so relaxing. I can't even tell you. I mean, I'm not tired at all when I speak, mm-hmm. At all.
Now, people fear nasal resonance. This is nasality, folks, which is not in. I want to thank you very much for joining with me today. That's when you cross the line. That's excessive nasal resonance. But this is a blend of oral and nasal resonance, and all good and great voices have a marked degree of nasal resonance, a marked degree, not excessive. I want to correct that because I said excessive. Nasal resonance is excessive nasal resonance. It's not. It's a blend of oral and nasal resonance. And that's the key to saving all voices when you put your voice up in the face.
Right.
And pitch is just simply a prop to get you up there, because when I talk like this, and you've been in with a whole group of people who have SD.
Yeah.
About 7 of them in 1 week. And you hear, basically, they're all doing the same thing. They're all in the lower throat, and when they raise the pitch, like Deborah, who's been on this program, what does she say? Minnie Mouse?
She did. Actually, we were at lunch, I think it was a few weeks ago, and she was saying that she really thought she didn't like the new voice.
It's Minnie Mouse.
And she said, I sound like Minnie Mouse.
Loud.
And then she said she was loud. And I said...
How many in that group, there were 7, said that she's loud?
None of us. There wasn't one person at that table that actually said that she was loud.
So that's a self-image.
Oh, completely. It was a complete self-image. And if I may, I think that the group situation is so beneficial because it just helps you validate what you're doing, and even if you think that you don't have a crisp voice and it's resonant, you need the other ears to listen to. And I guess, as you've said before, it's not enough